All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Tıฤtığ.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Patrick freaking Mahomes, baby!
Let's talk some sports, because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to The Spoken.
This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Tıฤtığ, here inside the Spoken Studios with just you and I, just the two of us. I can carry a note every once in a while. Don't be shocked, okay? This white boy can get down every once in a while, so don't be weird with me here. I am so happy to be with you, and I'm so happy that you guys are here with me. Whether you're live streaming podcasts or you're YouTubing, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to do this in this time, as we have an awesome show for you guys today. If you guys are wondering where the better-looking version of the Tıฤtığ family is where he's at today, he's actually at a previous commitment. My niece, 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺, has a big volleyball tournament this weekend, and Trevor had to choose between her or me, so that was a pretty damn easy choice for him. And the update I got before the show that I wanted to get and definitely got from him and from the whole situation over there where they're playing is that she is kicking ass and has been doing a great job, and I'm so proud of her. And so give a little love to Trevor and the kiddo today, man. If you guys get a chance, if you guys have them on the Soch, wish them well today as they are out and about doing their thing, and wish them nothing but the best. Love you to death, 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺, and hope you have a great continuation of this tournament. But we got some sports to talk about here, fellas, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys are stoked and ready to go. And like I said, if you're watching this live, you're listening live, you're doing whatever you're doing throughout this weekend, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us today. And I really hope that you want to be interactive, because I'm going to need as much help today as possible. And I hope you guys are excited for a great show. I already got 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 in the chat. My guys, hope all is well. Lonnie, we're glad that you're here on time, brother. You're being punctual this week, so I'm pretty stoked about that fact alone. This is a good start to the show if 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺's already live. So definitely want to say shout out to everybody that's already in the chat. And if you've not already done it, please go to YouTube, go to the Spoken Podcast there, hit subscribe, share, like, notify, all the fun buttons they got there to push. YouTube loves buttons. If you love buttons, you're in luck with YouTube. But the button we need you to push the most today is the comment button. We would very much appreciate it if you guys would get involved in the chat today, because I need to hear from my peoples, man. Julia Gooley is here. Shout out to her as well. Good luck, 𝚂𝙿𝙾. Thank you so much, Julia. We appreciate that. And the reason I want you guys to be as interactive as possible is because we want you guys to know this is a community-driven show. I don't want to. Trevor doesn't want to. We don't want to just be talking at you. We want to be talking with you, which is why we created a segment right in the middle of our show dedicated to you, the viewing and listening audience. It's called Speak It, where you guys get the opportunity to ask us any question, you bring up any take, concern, whatever it is, and we discuss it openly on the live as we do this show. And we would love it if you guys would want to join us as much as you possibly can and as much as you possibly want to. I don't know if you guys saw, but this last Tuesday, Shaggy, Shane, and I introduced a new show called the 65 Toss Power Talk Show. It is on this platform. You guys will see this every Tuesday at 6 p.m. We had the great Leonard Griffin, the former chief defensive end, on the show this last Tuesday. Had a great conversation with our guy. And if you guys have an opportunity, maybe this weekend after the show today, to come hang out with go listen to that show. Go listen to that podcast. Go watch that podcast. I would very much appreciate that if you guys would do so as well. But we're here today, and we are stoked to get this bad boy rolling. So without further ado, it is time for Lance Rants.
Shall I scream? Down! We're that corrosion! From out gonna do me!
So I think the question coming into this week, and it's a fair one, is where are the Chiefs right now? I think we've gotten caught up in a generation, in an era of sports consumption where everything is so knee-jerk, and I'll admit I fall victim to it quite often. There's probably times I play a role in it. But there's this ongoing presence, if you will, of media that wants to react so quickly to what a team is or isn't. And a lot of times I think it's unfair to do so. But I think for the sake of today and knowing what the Chiefs are walking into this week against a worthy opponent, quite frankly, a team that just absolutely destroyed the Chiefs in the Super Bowl about 7-8 months ago, I think it's fair to ask the question or evaluate where the Chiefs are right now, both mentally, emotionally, and physically. And I think the physical part is the one we probably need to focus on a lot, and we will in just a second. But yeah, I definitely think that it's fair to ask that question right now. Where are the Chiefs? What are the Chiefs? How much did the travel in Brazil, going to and fro, and the long distance from the hotels to the stadium really have a factor in that game against the Chargers? You know, there's a lot that we can really speculate on that. But one thing that I want to stay consistent on is why I picked this team to win their 4th Super Bowl since 2019, and why I picked them confidently to do so. Because I think this is the team that no matter what they have had to deal with in their path, no matter which season it is, they have always seemed to find a way to overcome it, at least while getting to the biggest games of the season. We have not seen this team fall short of the AFC Championship, an overtime AFC Championship game, since Patrick Mahomes has taken over. And that's why this team continues to give me continues to get the benefit of the doubt from me, and I'm sure from a lot of you guys as well. And that's what I want to focus on the most, is because we saw some concerning issues from that team against the Chargers. We saw a team that has real, in my opinion, real pass rush issues. I don't think this pass rush right now is as good as we had anticipated it to be coming into this season. Now, there are some guys that are growing into the roles. Like I said, Ashton Jalati, Norman Lott didn't even play in this game. You know, there's a lot of youth on this defense. In fact, if you look at the secondary, which is what I want to move to next, because they had some real issues with misdirection, miscommunication, things of that nature. 8 of the 9 defensive backs on the Chiefs roster, active 53-man roster right now, are on their rookie deals. Now, I have also said, because I don't want to be a hypocrite, that a lot of those guys have had a lot of Super Bowl success as soon as their career started, so they're not the same quote-unquote young player that other players across the league would be, where they simply just don't have that type of experience and success that a lot of these youngins have here in Kansas City. But the fact does remain is that this Chiefs defense and this Chiefs roster as a whole, quite frankly, is very young. Not inexperienced, but very young. And we're seeing this Chiefs team start to transition to more youth. As it stands right now, the Chiefs have the 5th youngest roster in the NFL. That's something that's going to take some gelling. We're seeing guys like Noel Williams who aren't even on the field. Christian Fulton, the veteran corner they brought in this year, hasn't really played very much. He's been injured a lot since training camp. So there's going to be a gelling on the side of the defensive issues that I'm seeing that I'm not overly worried about yet. Is it a concern? Yes, it has to be, because you saw it in full display in front of the entire world in Brazil, where Justin Herbert's doing his taxes in the pocket. That's never something that you want to see or can afford to see if you're trying to win football games. And so, yeah, that's a concern, and it might even be a growing concern. But I don't think it's a legitimate worry yet, because we haven't seen this team play more than one game. We got to see some of these young guys gel. And even to the defense of Charles Omenihu, who's, the only time he, like I said last week, the only time he touched Justin Herbert was when he was dapping him up after the game. Even to his credit, I mean, he's overcoming some injuries of his own, and he's working himself into it. But the leash on him is far shorter than anybody else. So I'm not gonna give him the same breaks I would give an Ashton Jalati, who I think might be coming for his job if he keeps fucking around. But the young guys like Noel Williams and Bossa and guys like that who are working their ways into their NFL careers, let alone this defense of a team that aspires to be a Super Bowl champion every single year. I think that you're going to start to see that change, and the confidence of this defense continue to grow. Along with their performances, even as soon as this week. And we're going to get to our Chiefs-Eagles preview in just a few minutes. But to the offensive side, I think without question, the biggest concern is just health and availability, especially at the skill positions. And, that's something, and the strangest thing that I've kind of psyched myself out on is that being a real issue, and I think that is a real concern. But as strange as it sounds, that, to me, if I was to sit here and say, okay, which one concerns me more moving forward, the defensive issues or the offensive issues? And as strange as it sounds, guys, I'm going to say it's the defensive issues that worry the most, even though I just downplayed them for 5 minutes right now. And the biggest reason why is, one, I know that the availability for these receivers that the Chiefs are dealing with injuries with, it's eventually going to work out. Rashee Rice is going to come back from his suspension. And Xavier Worthy, who I'm about to show you guys a video of, is already practicing. So you're probably going to be seeing Xavier Worthy playing football as early as this week against the Eagles. Now, I'm not expecting that, but I think that more than likely he's playing against the Giants and Ravens. So that's already a good sign. But the biggest reason why it isn't the biggest issue to me in comparison to the defensive woes is the fact that we've seen Patrick Mahomes in this offense overcome their inefficiencies and issues for the last 2 seasons. The Chiefs literally won the Super Bowl in 2023 with nothing but offensive issues. 2024, they have a myriad of injuries, and they get to the Super Bowl and have the greatest record in franchise history. So in a weird way, it's almost like this is just more of the same for the Chiefs to overcome. So if there's any team that can overcome those types of problems or hurdles, it's the Chiefs, because that has been their biggest issues. And just as an added note to all that, the Chiefs finally have themselves a left tackle. Now, I know he's a rookie and he still has to prove himself, but watching him against the Chargers, I felt more comfortable with Josh Simmons at left tackle than I had of anybody over the last 2 seasons. And it's not even close. And so, yeah, there are going to be growing pains with him and Kingsley 𝚂𝙾𝙳 on the left side, and, you know, the Juwan Taylor issue that we'll talk about in a little bit as well is the concern. But we've seen this team overcome the offensive issues and inefficiencies and injuries time and time again. So given the fact of what the Chiefs are right now on the defense and offensive side of things, the confidence I have is based upon what they've overcome and who's been helping them overcome it. This Chiefs coaching staff is the same exact coaching staff they've had for the last 3 years. It hasn't changed. This is a nucleus of continuity. Like, this is a collection of coaches that are running the best franchise in the NFL for years and years now. Like, there is a true continuity here that I don't think any other franchise in the NFL has. So if I was to pick one coaching staff that can overcome the issues the Chiefs already have just 1 week into the season, it is without question the one that is literally running that team. And I think if we're being honest here, you guys will all agree with me on that one. And I want to get to some comments here. Let's look where we got John Harrison. There's no team better equipped to deal with adversity, than this team. I have confidence they'll correct it. John, 100% agree with you, brother. This is why I ain't gonna lie to you guys. And in a weird way, and I love Nick Wright to death. I feel like he almost stole my take, even though I know he didn't. So calm down. But it was so weird because the next morning, Sunday morning, after a day and a half of just kind of sitting there and relishing on that loss to the Chargers, I ain't gonna lie to you guys. After that loss, I was like, shit. Like, it was one of those, like, man, there might be real issues on this team. Like, you're seeing some infighting, you're seeing some, some problematic things. And then we watched the rest of the NFL in week 1. And I watched the Bills and Ravens put up 40 against each other. I watched the Ravens do the same thing the Ravens always do, choke. I saw the Bills do what I had predicted them to do, which was look worse than they have defensively since 2019. I watched the Steelers give up 32 points to Justin Fields and Aaron Glenn in his first game as a head coach. I watched Joe Burrow and the Bengals put up 7 yards of offense in the second half against a Browns team that at best probably wins 5 games this year. And if it wasn't for 2 tip drill interceptions and 2 missed field goals from their kicker, the Browns walk away with that victory. In other words, I'm watching the rest of the NFL, and then I look at the Chiefs and I go, oh, That's pretty fixable, now that I think about it. I mean, shit. Chiefs lose to the Chargers by 6 points in an international game to start their season off. And the Chiefs had a touchdown where Trent McDuffie gave up a touchdown where Trent McDuffie literally ran into Drew Tranquill, and Johnston just walks right into the end zone, and Justin Herbert hits him for 6. I watched Chris Jones make a boneheaded decision on 3rd and 14 at the end of the game. If the Chiefs stopped them on 3rd and 14, Patrick Mahomes gets that ball with well over a minute and a half left of the game to go back and score a touchdown, which I think he would have. That's all. I mean, Patrick Mahomes was magnificent in that game, so I don't think any of us would have actually doubted he would have pulled that off. That's the point I'm trying to make, is that I'm looking at the issues the other teams in the league are having, specifically in the AFC side of things where the contenders are. And, yeah, I feel a lot better about the Chiefs now. A lot better. And that's where I'm at right now. That's where I think some of you might be as well. And I don't want to speak for you, and that's where I want you guys to speak for yourselves and tell me where you guys are at on this one, because I ain't going to lie. I feel much better about this Chiefs team moving forward after seeing the rest of the NFL deal with what they're dealing with. We have a person named Faithful here. I'm very concerned about the offense. It's been an issue for a few years now. Injuries happen with all the teams. They are always coming out in games looking like there's no plan or energy. Very concerning. Faithful, this is something I will agree with when it comes to, it looks like sometimes when the Chiefs get popped in the mouth, there's a little bit of a shock to it. And I do agree to an extent, but I will defend the Chiefs here in one regard. When you lose your number one receiver 3 plays into your offensive game plan, I mean, do you really blame them, for having that issue of looking a little lost for a couple of quarters, especially when the next guy that has to step up is a 36-year-old tight end who's already given this franchise so much and has already overcome or covered up, covered up so many wide receiver issues this team has had over the last few years. And to the Chiefs' defense even more, to your point, the Chiefs scored on their last 5 possessions. Now, they weren't all touchdowns, obviously, but what I'm saying is the Chiefs were moving the ball in a very tightly contested game against a divisional foe. This was something the Chiefs showed us that, hey, we found a rhythm, and we're going to continue to use that one. Now, obviously, Patrick was doing his wizardry out there, and I don't always get excited when I see that because that means he's making up for a lot of inefficiencies. But again, when you lose Xavier Worthy 3 plays into the game by him getting trucked by your 260-pound tight end, yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a rhythmic issue. If they would have looked like that if Xavier Worthy was healthy all game, we're having a much different discussion right now. If that game would have went the same way it did and Xavier Worthy never got hurt, we're having a much different discussion right now. But that's not the case. And I would like to believe, and I think you guys would agree with me on this, that game would have went much differently had Xavier Worthy stayed in the game and didn't get knocked out before we even finished our nachos. Our guy John Harrison here says, I know Mahomes doesn't like it as much, but they need to get under center and pound the ball, get physical, and play action off of it. They have to give the ball to running backs more than 10 times. I agree they need to give the ball to the running backs more than 10 times. I think the issue, however, is there's a little bit of a trust issue with both Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt for 2 different reasons. Isaiah Pacheco has trust issues, I think, with the coaching staff because, 1, he's always hurt, and 2, the dude has 0 directional awareness. There's a clip out there, and I told you about this last week, and I'll talk about it again. He had a broken open hole on the left side thanks to Josh Simmons. Josh Simmons blew up the left side and was even running down the field to add protection for Pacheco, and they were like, I think 17 or 18 yards from the end zone. And instead of Pacheco just simply staying the course to the left side, he runs right into a defender to the right. He looked like Russell Wilson in a pocket where he just runs into a sack in a clean pocket. It makes no sense whatsoever. So I think the coaching staff is growing frustrated with the lack of vision that Isaiah Pacheco has when he sees the A, B, C gaps opening up wide open for him, and he still doesn't know how to find a way to get through them. And then on the Kareem Hunt side of things, I think this team should start Kareem Hunt. I think he needs to be the starting running back and set the pace and tempo for this offense, and that's the guy I would like to see get the ball more. The problem, though, is that we all know that Kareem Hunt is now 30 years old, and I think the Chiefs don't want to wear him down yet because they know the value of him going into the postseason and how he needs to be a guy that's going to be an effective and healthy piece for the postseason. And I think they're trying to steer away from giving him the ball like they gave him the ball last season. And I don't necessarily blame them in that regard, which is where Brashad Smith, and it's unfair to say this is a 7th-round rookie, is going to have to play a little bit more of a role where he becomes a dual-threat back out of the backfield, which I do expect at some point this season. I just think the Chiefs are going to have to let that one kind of fester into what it's going to become. Julia Gulia, I am concerned about this run game. Lance and Spags keeps putting Chamari in the slot. Dana and Aminihu are nowhere to be found. Yes, these are all facts, Julia. And I want to address, because I feel like I already kind of addressed the offensive side of this take already in my previous conversation I had right now with John. When it comes to Spags and the whole Chamari Connor situation, I think what Spags is doing is I think he's tinkering with things because he knows that he has both Christian Fulton and Noel Williams in tow. I know he's going to be utilizing these guys at a much higher magnitude in the coming weeks. And so with Christian Fulton's injury, with Noel Williams still learning the defense, I think he's just kind of buying time right now. And I'm not making an excuse because I disagree with if his plan, if his initial plan was regardless, I'm going to put Chamari Connor at that position, then I do agree. I do agree with you that it's wrong. The Mike Dana and Charles Omenihu thing is a whole different topic. I'm with you in lockstep on this one. Those are not only two of your veteran pass rushers, those are guys that, one, has already been paid, and two, the other one's trying to get paid. There's zero excuse for either one of these guys to not be showing up, to be on milk cartons, man. Like, that can't be happening. Both those guys have to be, I'm not saying they got to, turn into TJ Watt and Myles Garrett. That's not a reality. The reality should be, hey, get 3 pressures today. Get a sack. Hit the quarterback. Do something. Don't be out there looking like Patrick Swayze and Ghost, R.I.P. You know what I mean? Where you might as well be out there just, molding clay with Demi Moore. Sure shit ain't playing football out there. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I definitely agree with you on that, guys. And I think it's something to pay attention to. But I like I said, I don't want to sound overly simplified here, but I do trust that Spags is looking at this game film and saying, okay, how do we adjust? Because I saw this dude in 2021 adjust a defense that was giving up over 30 points a game before it seemed the first 2 months of the season. So I think he's going to figure that out. Julie Gully goes on to say, I hate feeling like a week 2 game is a must win. We're going to talk about that in a minute, and we'll definitely go further into that, but I agree with your sentiment there on that one, Julia. Our guy John Harrison continues as well. He says, to me, it's not so much the yards per carry, it's the balance of play calls. I'd start Hunt too. Okay, so we agree on the Hunt situation, and I actually agree with the yards per carry as well. And I want to see a balanced offense. Will we ever see Patrick Mahomes under center at a consistent level? I don't think so. He spent most of his college career, pretty much all of his college career, in shotgun. That's kind of the new era of quarterbacks, especially the mobile ones. They like to do RPOs. They like to do play action out of the shotgun. I'm more of a classic guy myself, growing up watching quarterbacks that do 6-7 step drop backs and then deliver the ball. I like that way as well. That's never really been Patrick Mahomes' way. Outside of Joe Burrow and maybe Matt Stafford, of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, not a lot of them are under the center type quarterbacks. It's just the unfortunate evolution of the game, I think, John, and that's just kind of what we're dealing with at this point. Lonnie Pyramid. Lance, I know it's only been 1 game, but I want us to wake up, shake off what it is, and let's go. I agree, dude. Like, that's where I'm at. The whole throwing dirt on the Chiefs aspect from the national media and even some of the local media, it's driving me bonkers, man, because I don't think the Chiefs, if the Chiefs would have went out there and got smoked like 38-14 by the Chargers, I'm sitting here going, fuck, man, like, that's bad. If Xavier Worthy played in that game, and like I said, it went the same way, I'd be like, fuck, that's bad. But there is context to this loss, and I'm not accepting the loss. I'm not sitting here saying, oh, well, it's okay. It's not. And you know why I say that is because I believe the Chiefs view it the same way. They don't view this as acceptable. That's why I think they're going to bounce back, because they view this as unacceptable. There's a Super Bowl standard that they have created, and therefore they have to continue it. And that's the way I look at this, man. So I'm with you on that, man. It's annoying, but losing in football is annoying, especially for teams that have Super Bowl aspirations and Super Bowl success. Yeah, wink. Play more like Whoopi in the... That's pretty good. Thank you for chiming in on that reference. Mac 10, if Kansas City loses tomorrow, but they in a shootout, would you be concerned or encouraged? Because recall back to 2021, the offense and defense were not good, but then the second half they got it together. Okay, this might sound dismissive to whatever's going to happen on Sunday. I'm going to give you guys my predictions, my thoughts, my preview on what's going to happen on Sunday in just a little bit. But I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. If you don't, I will explain. Even if, or I'll just say it like this. I don't really care how Sunday goes when I'm thinking of the full season. If I'm looking at the big picture, the end result of this game is not going to be what decides my ultimate opinion on this team moving forward. Even if the Chiefs were to lose this game, even if they don't look awesome, I'm not throwing in the towel on this team. I'm not. I made that mistake in 2023 when they started losing games like they did against the Raiders, that just pathetic effort of a game. I think that was on Christmas or right before Christmas. I was like, this team just right now is not a Super Bowl team. And that team won the Super Bowl. I was more of the frustration of how they were playing, how they're not playing like a Super Bowl team, but I still said those words. And that's why, until this team proves me otherwise, I'm not going to sit here and throw dirt on them like the rest of the world is right now. I'm going to still stake my flag in the fact that I know what this team is capable of, and even when things look absolutely terrible, and it looks like they are just on the outs, they find a way to patch it up and make it work. And when it matters the most, they make the most of the situation and they continue to win Super Bowls, or at least get to the Super Bowl. Our Lady Julia Gulia. Boy, it's going to be rough for the Kingdom if we do lose. Big picture means nothing. We getting jumped out here, Lance. Yeah, that's kind of how it is. I mean, that's why I'm cracking up at this whole Hard Knocks thing with the Buffalo Bills and how they're looking at it as like Buffalo versus the world. Motherfuckers, you have the whole world on your jock. For a team that's won jack shit, you guys have hella support out there, man. When it comes to people believing in you guys and wanting to see you succeed, you guys are becoming the fucking Chicago Cubs. Maybe you already are. I don't know. But yeah, it's ugly out there because people are sick of seeing the Chiefs win, man. And speaking of the Chiefs winning, I think they may have won in the Xavier Worthy situation, guys, because that was looking bad. I was legitimately concerned that the Chiefs may not have Xavier Worthy for the rest of the season. But now we know for sure that is not the case. And even more so, if you guys needed some relief from your worries and stresses and anxieties of this situation, this is courtesy of 41 News over here in Kansas City. So that is, like I said, courtesy of 41 Action News out here in Kansas City. That is Xavier Worthy practicing this week. He was a limited participant, of course. He is officially listed as doubtful for this game. Now, there's many different ways of looking at what the Chiefs are doing with Xavier Worthy on this. I mean, you could say, well, this means that maybe he's going to play a little bit. He'll be a decoy, or he'll just play a few snaps, and maybe the Chiefs have a lot of confidence that he'll be all right. Or maybe this is just gamesmanship. Maybe this is the Chiefs trying to force the Eagles to have the game plan for Xavier Worthy and stress some resources on him and distract from the other guys that they know deep down are actually going to be more of the carriers of the productivity on the offensive side. I'm leaning more to door number 2. I don't expect to see Xavier Worthy play in this game. Would it shock me if he's still suited up and gave it a go? And I say that in very loose terms. No, I would not be shocked by that. I think that he is obviously healthy enough to play. I think it's a pain tolerance thing, and I think the Chiefs are probably looking out for his best interest and are saying, hey, come back week 3 against the Giants. We have a stretch still without Rashee Rice. We're going to need you. Let's give you another week to heal. We'd love to have you in this Eagles game, but given the fact these are 2 NFC opponents coming up, and the Ravens are after that, and then some divisional games will be coming down the pike as well with the Bills down the stretch, we're going to need as many weapons as possible to fend off those teams. I think this is them getting ready to get Xavier Worthy back. I think there is a little bit of gamesmanship as it has to be expected, which I don't blame the Chiefs at all. But I don't anticipate that Xavier Worthy will be playing in this game. And if he does suit up, it'll be for a decoy purpose or something like that, just to kind of mess with the Eagles. But he will be back soon, which is the good news, which is the important news. The Chiefs aren't missing him for the season. They're not going to be missing him for 6 weeks. It's going to be he'll be back. I think if I was to place a bet right now, I think he plays next week against the Giants, and I'll stick with that in the meantime. But I just wanted to give you guys that update. I don't know if you guys have seen that video of Xavier Worthy at practice. Like I said, he was there on Thursday and Friday practicing, and that is great news. Let's get to some more of these comments here. Our guy John Harrison back at it. I want them to win just to piss in Sirianni's Cheerios. Whatever cereal that guy has in his bowl, I'm gonna say it's probably Count Bitula. I'm gonna agree with you there, John. There's gonna be a certain level of satisfaction, not just from a W category, but just knowing that you can beat that bastard with a lisp. I don't even know how to explain it, but that guy, there's nothing about Nick Sirianni I like. I will give him credit. He's a Super Bowl champion head coach, but I am not a fan of the dude at all. He is a douche. And that's why, yeah, I definitely think there's going to be a little extra there, especially with his history in Kansas City. And look, just kind of add back, and we're going to move forward. I'm going to get to my Chiefs-Eagles preview in just a second, but the conversations that I actually did kind of pay attention to this week, because there was a lot that I just had to ignore and walk away from, is this, like I said, this doubt that's already being put out there about the Chiefs. And look, guys, the defensive backs have got to play better. The defense has got to play better. But now I'm starting to see people like talking about the team's missing Justin Reed. And look, all respect to Justin Reed. Dude's a 2-time champion, helped the Chiefs get to 3 straight Super Bowls. Literally, all 3 years he was in Kansas City, Chiefs went to the Super Bowl. The dude deserves a lot of respect. He played his role. He was a leader on this defense, smart, eloquent guy, good player. No doubt about it. I really am grateful for Justin Reed being on this defense and helping this team win multiple Super Bowls, getting to 3. He played his role. But look, man, the Chiefs finished last season 18th in sacks, and they still got to their 3rd Super Bowl. Outside of Justin Reed, who I'm talking about right now, this is essentially the same defense with, like I said, Ashton Gillotte and Noel Williams still finding their groove. If you think that the loss of Justin Reed is that big of a deal, I guess that's fine, but I just completely disagree and think this defense is going to find its way and continue to contribute to wins, because we saw them move off Tyrann Mathieu. We've seen them move off of guys throughout the years. I think they're going to continue to do that because they got to stay cheap. Like I've told you guys before, they got to stay cheap somewhere. And they're not going to just go out and shell out cash to 28-year-old, 29-year-old safeties, especially with the way Brett Veach does draft that position and develop, and the way Dave Merritt and Steve Spagnuolo develop that position. There's reasons why they handle their roster the way that they do and value other positions more than safety and cornerback. And I think they're going to find their way. Like I said, guys, even with the Chiefs defense being below average at sacks last year, they still went to their 3rd Super Bowl. And that's one of their 13, 14 issues they had last year. Still found a way to win 15 games. Would have won 16, in my opinion, if they'd played their starters in that final game against the Broncos, but I digress. It didn't even matter. Point is, they still got to the Super Bowl. They still went and did what they did despite a below-average pass rush, an offense just loaded with injuries. There was a rotating door at left tackle, and that here we are. And then there's this comment here, and I want to post this guy, this little sweet treat over here from Philadelphia, Elliot Shore Parks. Every time you see his name, it's because he has a bad take. This is his take right here this week about the Mystique. The Eagles have a chance to essentially kill off the Chiefs' Mystique this weekend. Wouldn't kill their season, but if Chiefs drop to 0-2 after getting smoked in the Super Bowl and having a pretty unimpressive 2024 season overall, the aura of the Chiefs will basically be gone. Okay. Unimpressive season. First of all, I just have to address that. In what world is going 15-2, winning your division by essentially 6 games, with another team, with 2 teams that made the playoffs, I might add, in your division, and getting to your 3rd consecutive Super Bowl? In what world is that not impressive? Yeah, the Chiefs didn't score 35 points a game. Yeah, they had issues. They weren't explosive. But we just broke down the context of that. Anybody that actually paid attention to the games last year would have known that. And you're saying that's unimpressive? If anything, that's overly impressive. That despite the injuries and despite the lack of a left tackle and despite a legitimate pass rush, they still won all those games and still got to the Super Bowl. That, to me, is the opposite of unimpressive. But that's just a side note to this take. What I want to address is this whole Mystique thing, shall we? Can we do that real quick? Let's just go down the rundown real quick of just the last few years. I saw this team, this Chiefs team, start a season 3-4 with Patrick Mahomes looking absolutely lost in 2021. And they hosted the AFC Championship that year. I've seen this team in 2022, before the 2022 season starts off, trade away a superstar wide receiver who was turning 27 years old, and Tyreek Hill. And then that next season, they go 14-1 in games that Patrick Mahomes started. I'm sorry, 15-1. Or no, what was it? I know they won the 1 seed. They had the number 1 offense, had the most explosive offense in the league. And won the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes wins regular season MVP by having the most yards by a quarterback in NFL history for a single season. And then he won Super Bowl MVP. I've seen this team lead the league in drops in 2023. And then repeat as Super Bowl champions. I've seen this team have a rotating door at left tackle with a plague of injuries to their skill positions and go to their 3rd straight Super Bowl in 2024. So this is, when we're talking about this whole Mystique thing, this is what I think and feel about this Mystique thing.
I don't give a fuck.
Fair enough.
Don't give a fuck.
Yeah, that's how I feel about this Mystique thing. Mystique my meat, dude. Okay, because who has the biggest Mystique? Do they win the Super Bowl every year? Because for me, results and Mystique go 2 different directions, because the Chiefs haven't had a lot of Mystique over the last 2 years. And the results were there. They went to back-to-back Super Bowls, won one of them, without the Mystique. I remember after they traded Tyreek Hill, all we heard was, oh, shit, the Chiefs, man, they're the best team in the division now. They're going to finish last, as James Jones so eloquently put. They're going to finish last. They're not going to make the playoffs now. They lost their heavy hitter. How are they going to be able to score points now without Tyreek Hill? And they led the league in points. And they led the league in explosive plays. And Patrick Mahomes had an historic season. And Patrick Mahomes won MVP. And the Chiefs win the Super Bowl. And Patrick Mahomes wins Super Bowl MVP. What are we doing here? Who gives a shit about this Mystique shit? Yeah, it's fun when the Chiefs are out there rolling up, teams like I said, the week 1 of 2022, they go out there and they beat the Cardinals like 44-21. Yeah, those games are fun. I miss those games, damn it. I would love to see games like that again. And I think it'll happen eventually. But if the Chiefs are winning games, if the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl, who gives a shit? Who gives a fuck? Nobody that actually pays attention to the real things, the things that actually matter. All the other stuff is just icing. It's fluff. It's show fodder. The results are what matter. And that's what the Chiefs continue to give you, is results. They may not be sexy, but they're there. Yeah, I mean, look at all the teams that make all the offseason noise. Are they the ones that win the Super Bowl? Look at the teams that roll up. Look at the Bills last year. They had like 7 or 8 blowout victories last year. How'd that work out for the Bills? Oh, yeah, that's right. They still watched Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl again. This Mystique shit's a bunch of crap, dude. All right, let's get to the Chiefs and Eagles preview. I'm ready for this one. If you guys have takes or comments on this game, please fill the chat with it, guys, because I want to get to as many of you guys as I possibly can. And then obviously we'll have speaking in just a minute. But look, you guys know I just cut to the chase when it comes to these types of matchups, when it comes to games like this. And I ain't gonna lie to you guys, I'm stoked about this game. I'm very stoked about this game. I think that this one can go one or two ways really quickly, and I think it's all up to how the Chiefs handle it. I think this is a game where the Chiefs have to come out and they have to strike early. They have to come out and make some shit happen immediately on offense. They cannot allow the Eagles to dictate the pace of this game, because that is the scariest thing when you're dealing with an Eagles team like this that can run the ball the way they do. Even with the Chiefs having the ability to slow down, dare I say shut down Saquon Barkley, when you have the duo they have in the backfield with Jalen Hurts and his mobility and Saquon Barkley and his all-time great type of football, you cannot allow that team to dictate the pace and the outcome. You have to be able to say, we're going to punch you first. Now you have to react to us. You have to get the crowd involved early. That might be cliche, but it is the truth, because we know that Arrowhead is one of the most, if not the most intimidating place in all of sports when the place is rocking. That's not just from me. That's from opposing players and opposing fan bases as well. This place gets ruckus quick, and I think the Chiefs need to allow that to happen first. Having said that, I think the best way the Chiefs can execute their offense is what John Harrison is talking about here, by having a balanced attack. Setting up Patrick Mahomes for success, not making him go out there and have to scramble around and hope for making some miracle plays like even Juju Smith-Schuster, where the man is literally planking in midair and tosses the ball over a defender's head and makes those plays are fun. They're exciting. They're cool. If another one happens this week, great. But I don't want to see where Patrick has to recreate some of his old highlights, like the 4th and 9 play against the Ravens in 2018. I had a front row seat to that one. But I don't want to see him have to do that again. I want to see the Chiefs have a calm, respectable style of offense in this game, where they run the ball, and in particular, they give Kareem Hunt the ball first. Let him set the pace. Let him get that defense on the Eagles side of things a little impatient, a little bothered, because the Chiefs are running a little bit more of a methodical style of offense, and then boom, play action. Patrick Mahomes wheels out 15 yards to Travis Kelce. Wheels out 15, 20 yards to Juju Smith-Schuster or to Tyquan Thornton, whoever he throws the ball to. I think Patrick's going to spread the ball out a lot in this game. I think there's going to be about 8 guys that catch a pass from Patrick Mahomes in this game, and I'm not kidding. I think he's going to spread the ball out. They're going to be a little bit more on the unpredictable side of things. And it also starts with Jawaan Taylor. We have to have this conversation, because I am a Jawaan Taylor guy for the most part. And what's funny is that initially I wasn't even really excited about the signing when the Chiefs got him, because I was hearing mixed reports about people saying, oh, he's going to be the new left tackle. Oh, he's going to stay at right tackle. Nobody really knew what the hell Jawaan Taylor was here to do. But one thing we did know is the dude had an insane amount of money, got an insane amount of money. That man got paid, and that's what we knew initially. Now, I do believe that Chris Collinsworth, and I know this sounds goofy, but it's the truth, I do believe that Chris Collinsworth's words and narrative that he pushed in that first game that Jawaan Taylor ever played in a Chiefs uniform against the Lions in 2023, I do believe that did pick up steam, and I do believe to some degree the NFL has picked on Jawaan Taylor. Having said that, he has to adjust. The man has to show that he can adjust. And we've seen him do it in the past. We've seen him have struggles in 2023 and 2024 with penalties, and then he turns it around, and you never hear his name, which is a good thing when you're an offensive lineman, and he got his job done, and he was a contributor to this team getting to back-to-back Super Bowls. We need to see a clean game from Jawaan Taylor. We cannot have 3rd and 5, Patrick converts the 3rd down, and Jawaan Taylor has a holding penalty. Or before Patrick Mahomes has an opportunity to convert the 3rd down, he jumps the snap. He has to pay attention to the ball. He has to. And I don't want to be one that tries to tell him how to do his job, but I am the one that's going to sit here and say, this is how you got to do your job. You got to go out there and you got to play a clean game this week. This is going to be a tough opponent as it is. You cannot give them breaks. You cannot give the Eagles extra possessions. You cannot give this Eagles defense that I think is actually very beatable opportunities to catch their breath or gain confidence and feel like they're on their toes as opposed to their heels. You got to keep them on their heels. Another thing, you got to limit defensive miscommunications and mishaps. Like I said earlier, the Chiefs lost that game on the defensive side by Trent McDuffie and Drew Tranquill running into each other. Or whenever the Eagles had, or the Chargers had Ladd McConkey in motion, they were giving away their signs and signals immediately, and Justin Herbert knew what was coming on the defensive side. They cannot be as predictable, and they've got to be sharp mentally and physically and emotionally in this game. They've got to stay together as a unit. But where this game is won and lost for the Chiefs, it's actually quite simple, guys. And I just kind of alluded to it a minute ago. This game is going to be won and lost on 3rd down. If you look at the Chiefs last week, they converted only 5 of their 14 3rd downs. That's 36%. Meanwhile, the Chargers converted 7 of their 13 3rd down attempts. That's 54%. That's almost a 20% difference between the two teams on 3rd down. It was a 6-point game. Neither team had a turnover. And it's a 6-point game. So what was the difference? One team could get the other team off the field on 3rd downs. The other team couldn't. Chris Jones, on that last play, made a selfish decision. He knows that. Drew Tranquill called him out on it. The entire team called him out on it. Because it was a boneheaded decision. He wants to play defensive end so badly. Well, sometimes, man, you got to make the non-sexy play and set the edge. And force Justin Herbert to run back to the middle of the field to where one of your linebackers can go and get him. And give Patrick Mahomes the ball back. No, he decided to be selfish, took the inward angle, and let Justin Herbert literally just walk down the field for 20 yards. You got to convert 3rd downs. And you got to stop the other team from converting 3rd downs. And the biggest way the Chiefs are going to have to do this, and I might even be a little more selfish and extend this one, the Chiefs have got to be able to say, listen, we're going to keep you on 3rd and longs and make sure you don't get 4th and shorts. Because I think without question, this Eagles team is going to try to go for every 4th down they can in this game. If it's 4th and 2 or shorter, they're 100% going for it. And they want to keep Patrick Mahomes off that field, and they want to dictate the pace, which comes to my original point. The Chiefs have to dictate the pace. If they get the ball first, they have to go out there and score a touchdown. If they don't get the ball first and they defer, or let's say the Eagles decide to receive, their defense has to go out there and say, you're getting a 3 and out right here, bitch. Oh, it's 4th and 2? You're not getting this. We're not letting you get this. Both sides of the ball have to have that fuck you mentality in this game. And like I've been saying all episode today, I trust this coaching staff to get that mentality in their guys' heads. I think this team has enough veteran presences and enough Super Bowl prowess to know that this week it has to be activated. Maybe their energy wasn't as good as it should have been in week 1. I don't know if I really agree with that, because I saw guys, like I said, I saw Kelsey headbutt Jawaan Taylor to wake him the fuck up. I saw Drew Tranquill calling out Chris Jones, who's the captain and the lifeblood of that defense. He was calling him out. I saw Patrick Mahomes out there making Olympian-style passes and completions and plays all together and trucking defenders while he's trying to go out of bounds. I saw heart from this team. Maybe the national media wants to tell you something else. I saw heart. It may not have been enough, but I saw it. This team still got it. Okay, guys, we're not gonna throw dirt on this team yet. They're at home. They're focused. They're embarrassed. They're pissed off because they haven't had a victory in their last 2 games, and this team doesn't go through a lot of losing streaks in the Mahomes era. They've never lost 3 games in the Mahomes era together, 3 consecutive games in the Mahomes era. They know what this game means. It means more than it probably should, to be honest. But it means that regardless. And now we're here looking at a team that needs a victory. And I think they're going to get that victory this week because I think the Chiefs are going to come out sharper. They're going to build off what they did in that second half when they scored on 5 straight possessions offensively. They know, and it's been now official since I've been started the show. I don't know if you guys have seen the update or not, but according to Yahoo Sports, Xavier Worthy is now officially ruled out for this game. Like I said, it wouldn't shock me at all. I was expecting that, and that is now the official word. So there we go on that. But the Chiefs have had all week to plan without Xavier Worthy. I think that was their plan all along. They're working him back. And now we will see this offense and what they can do without him. And honestly, as twisted as this sounds, maybe I just like to beat myself up or torture myself here. I'm actually looking forward to what the Chiefs are going to do offensively because I'm going to make a prediction right now. I think there's a chance the Chiefs score 30 points in this game. Why do I say that? Well, first of all, I know what Patrick Mahomes is. And now he has a left tackle for the first time in 3 years. And I remember what he did when he had a left tackle 3 years ago and how great he was. I think that left tackle is now here. I also don't believe in this Eagles team as much as I don't think they're the same team they were last year. They lost 11 players from that last year's team and potentially 12. Credit to our guy Clay Windler for bringing this up yesterday. Dallas Goedert. Very good tight end, has a knee injury, and we don't know if he's going to play for sure or not. Now, maybe I haven't been informed up to date as to what his status is, but last I heard, it isn't looking good for Dallas Goedert. And that's a big thing in their pass game because that is one guy that Jalen Hurts actually does look at. He doesn't look A.J. Brown's way, but he will look at Dallas Goedert's way a lot. And I am of the belief that if they don't have Dallas Goedert, their offense is going to struggle magnificently because in that Cowboys game, last week for the Eagles, when Jalen Hurts could not find his first read and the Cowboys took that away a lot, you saw how limited their pass game was. I mean, Jalen Hurts, I think, only had about 185 passing yards in that game. 0 passing touchdowns. Now, he had 2 rushing touchdowns. But see, where the Chiefs' defensive strength has been is stopping the run. Justin Herbert ran a lot last week, but I think that the Chargers kind of shocked the Chiefs defense a little bit by running Herbert more, but also throwing the ball more than they expected. I think the Chiefs know what they're getting from the Eagles. I think the Chiefs defense knows what the Eagles are because they're a very on-brand offense. They don't really shake things up very often. They do one thing and they do it very well, and that's running the ball very well. And I think the Chiefs defense is going to be prepared for that. I think they're going to be prepared for that. And like I said, when it comes to the offensive side, guys, the Cowboys should have beaten the Eagles. The Cowboys had 5 drops in that game. And 4 of those drops were balls that went further than 20 yards. And one of them was an actual touchdown from Dalton Schultz, who dropped a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb was, even though his stat line was awesome, he was actually atrocious. I think he had 4 drops himself. So he catches any of the passes he dropped, the Cowboys probably win that game. Dak Prescott was awesome. They had no Micah Parsons, and they still should have won the game. Those holes are still going to be there because Adoree Jackson, or however the fuck you say his name, Dory Jackson, I think, he's going to still be out there. And he was the worst graded corner in the league last week. And Vic Fangio staying with him. There's going to be opportunities for this Chiefs offense in this game. This is not the scary defense of last year, in my opinion, that this Eagles defense has. There's a lot of shaking up. They lost their coordinator offensively. That's going to actually hurt their defense too. Because I think if their offense doesn't have as much fluidity, the defense is going to be on the field a lot more. And there's a lot of young, inexperienced guys on this defense for the Eagles as well. And Vic Fangio is one hell of a defensive coordinator. Don't get me wrong. He's given the Chiefs a lot of fits throughout the years. But with the lack of Jimmys and Joes, sometimes the X's and O's don't always pay dividends. Now, Jalen Carter is back. In my opinion, incorrectly. But I digress. We'll talk about that later in the show. But that doesn't mean that because he's now in the game, that all of a sudden this Eagles defense is just going to play out of their minds. I'm sure it's going to help them to a certain degree. But Jalen Carter also isn't a guy that gets a lot of sacks. And he's also going to be going up against Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith. And maybe they do line him up against Kingsley. But call me crazy. But I'm not worried yet about the Jalen Carter situation because I don't even know if this dude's head's in the right place. I definitely know it's in the wrong place because it's usually up his ass. But I'm not so sure that Jalen Carter is going to come into this game all focused and hell-bent on playing so well. Because I've yet to see this guy really have true focus on being the best football player imaginable. Quite frankly, I don't think he should be playing in this game. And well, like I said, we'll talk about that later, but I think there's a chance the Chiefs score in the 30s in this game. I know that sounds crazy because everyone's so assured that this Eagles team's the same team they were last year. They're not. And I think, like I said, if there's one team that knew how to overcome the loss of multiple receivers, I think it's the Chiefs without question because they've had to do it for 2 years now. If I was to place a bet right now, in my prediction of what I think this score is going to be, I think it's going to be a close game. I think that the Chiefs, like I said, though, are going to come out there, and I think they're gonna play a motivated, driven game because they know what it means. They're at home. They're ready for this one. They're ready. They finally have a left tackle. And I think they're going to have enough firepower offensively to get this one done. I'm going to say the Chiefs are going to win this game 30-27. That's where I'll stay right now. And I might change that score before Sunday. But right now, I'm thinking it's a 3-point victory. I think the Chiefs score right at 30 right now. And it's going to be interesting to see what the dialogue and discourse is going to be at the national level. If, in fact, the Chiefs win it all, let alone win by scoring points like that without Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice available. It's going to be very interesting, but I feel very confident about this. Let's get to some of you guys because I know you guys have a lot of questions and takes, and I want to get into many of them. This is from our guy, Red Trip Simmer, Clay Windler, the GOAT, the guy that makes this show happen altogether. Clay says, if the Chiefs beat the Eagles, I want to see Lance run through that blue and red brick wall to start a show 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 style. Clay, I'm going to need your help, brother, because I don't know anything about AI, and I'm actually pretty hilariously bad at Photoshop, but I am willing to be a participant in you creating that scenario. So how about this? Let's go ahead and make that a thing. You guys are all witnesses of this. We have hundreds of people watching this live right now. Let's make that happen, Clay. I'm down for it, brother. I think you guys know I'm down for some chaos. Let's make it happen. And Clay actually may have reignited a fire in me yesterday, guys. I'm just saying. I don't know if you guys remember, but on the Soch, on all the platforms, I used to, before every Chiefs game on Fridays, I would do a little cringy-ass video where I'd be drinking my coffee and then I'd make a statement about the Chiefs. I haven't done it for a couple of years now. Clay may have gotten that one back per request. So we'll see if Clay got that out of me, but I'm down for show for the recreation of the Kool-Aid Man. Oh, yeah. In this background that I've decided to use again. I don't know why I wasn't using it before. I love this background. It's good to bring back. I don't know what you guys think. I don't really give a shit. I do give a shit. I'm just fucking with you. Julie Gulia. We've proved we can neutralize Barkley. Pass rush needs to show up. 100% agree. Could not agree more, Julia. I think that is the way we have to look at this, is the pass rush is going to be a big, and like I said, that's what it comes down to, third downs. Because I do think that the Eagles are going to have to, if they're going to be third and long, they're obviously going to have to pass the ball. And regardless of whether, Dallas Goedert's out there or not, they're going to be throwing the ball on big situational downs. Will the pass rush get to Jalen Hurts, make him, speed his clock up and take away that first read? And then let's see if the Chiefs can do it defensively, if they can make that a thing. We'll see. Our guy Noah John Marshall here. Carter was the worst rated Philly defensive player by PFF in the Super Bowl. And maybe that's true. Personally, I don't really give a shit about PFF. They make up their grades. I mean, I was thinking about actually starting a platform with all you guys and call it ASS, because it'd be the same thing where we just all get together and just make up grades. But I will also say, yeah, I wasn't impressed by Jalen Carter. I think the best play he made was when he decided to try to take Patrick Mahomes' head off, which wasn't flagged, by the way, but the Chiefs get all the calls. Let's see here. Sol 32 alt. Speak it. And we're just going to jump into Speak It now, guys. Let's get all the questions in. If you guys have questions, get them in now, and I will answer them. And because you guys now know where I stand on the Eagles-Chiefs game, you guys have predictions on it, go ahead and drop those in the chat now. But let's get to Speak It now. Let's just go ahead and get to some questions. Cell32 Alt, Speak It. Why the fuck is it acceptable for Andy Reid to say he didn't have the team motivated? No energy for the rest of the game, or for the first game of the season. That is I'm gonna put that back on the screen. That is a great question, and is a fair question, because I agree with you. I did not accept that from Andy Reid. I thought that was complete bullshit. I know it's coach speak. I know it's Andy Reid just taking the bullet for his team, because that is what Andy Reid is notoriously great at doing, is taking the focus and the energy and the vitriol off of his team and saying it was my fault, and to get everybody pissed at him, if anyone does get pissed at Andy. And I get pissed at Andy sometimes, because I disagree with some of the things he says and does sometimes, but that's human nature, guys. And yeah, there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for them to not have that energy, but again, I do think they had that energy. I think it was misconstrued because their game plan was completely turned to shit, and there was some mishaps and miscommunication on the defensive side. I think that has a lot to do with the fact this is a very young defense. Like I said, 8 of their 9 defensive backs on this roster are still on their rookie deal. And the only one that's not is Christian Fulton, who hasn't been playing. So I think this team has issues that are going to be very fixable and will be fixed in a matter of weeks, and if not now. I mean, it might be an immediate fix. Who knows, guys? This coaching staff is where my confidence is drawn from. I know what this coaching staff can and will do. I've seen them do it time and time again, and then, yeah, it may not be the way we expected it out the gate. That's me included. I was expecting a much sharper team out the gate, but I think the energy is there. Like I said, we saw Drew Tranquill and Chris Jones, 2 veteran guys, chomping at each other, chirping at each other, dog cussing each other. That's a good sign. I know Rob Gronkowski, who has a brain of a bed mite, was saying that's a bad sign. I completely disagree with that. I love seeing these guys get fired up like that. That means they give a fuck. They're not looking at this game as, who gives a shit? It's one game. Who cares? We'll get over it. No, they were like, no, man, I'm trying. Literally, Drew Tranquill's words were, I'm trying to win, bro. That's the kind of fire you want to see from your veterans, because the young guys are going to follow that. You want to see that. I guarantee you, Andy Reid and Spags love that. They're not mad at those guys. They're like, hell yeah. Our veterans are out here getting in each other's face. Travis Kelce jumping Juwan Taylor's ass is a great thing. The guy that everyone accuses is not focused on football anymore because he's dating the most famous woman in the world is jumping a teammate's ass for the way they're playing. That is a great sign from a team that played a C game. You want to see that, boys and girls. And this is from the GOAT himself, Trent Twidwell, my father. What's up, Pop? Do you think Travis Kelce will be used more in the passing game against the Eagles? I do, and I think it's going to be by default, mostly because of the fact that I don't think, and this is what I was saying about the Rashee Rice, even before the Xavier Worthy injury, I was saying coming into the season, knowing Rashee was going to be out for the first month and a half, that we were going to see an uptick in Travis Kelce's usage at the beginning of the year, which is actually ideal, because as an older player, you want to see Travis Kelce's usage be higher at that time as opposed to later in the year. You don't want to see him being used up as the season is going on, so he's worn out by the time the postseason gets there. You want to see if he's going to have an uptick in usage. You want it to be at the earlier part of the year, so as the season goes on, the Rashee gets back, and now Xavier Worthy gets back, the focus will kind of shift back more to the younger receiver guys, to where Travis can maybe take a step back, be rested, be healthy, and be ready for the postseason. But yes, I do fully anticipate and expect that we will see Travis Kelce used a lot in this game. I'd be shocked if he gets less than 5 or 6 catches in this game. I know he didn't get a lot of usage in the Chargers one, but again, I think it's because the game plan wasn't for Travis Kelce. This week, knowing Xavier Worthy's been out all week long, essentially, the game plan is going to be a lot different coming into this one. I think Travis Kelce is going to play a big role in it. I also expect Juju Smith-Schuster to be a big factor in this one. Obviously, Hollywood Brown, because he got like 158 targets in that first game. He will be a major part of this. But I think the Chiefs, like I said, are going to play a methodical style of football. And the best way of doing that is running the ball and getting those 3rd and 5s. And I think the 2 guys they trust the most in the pass game is going to be Travis Kelce and Juju Smith-Schuster. But if anybody's looking for some fantasy advice, and I'm putting that very loosely because I'm not like some expert here by any means. If you guys want some actual expert advice, go to Trevor. But I have a feeling that Noah Gray is going to catch a touchdown in this one. I'm just throwing that out there. If you guys are looking for one of those like straight bets or, a value anytime touchdown kind of guy, I would put my money on Noah Gray. I think that he's going to be a red zone target in this one. I also think that there's a real chance Patrick Mahomes runs a touchdown in. So look for those two if you're looking for anytime touchdowns. I'm going to put my money on it. So I'm not just telling you guys that and not doing it myself. I'm actually going to be putting money on those two guys. I might actually make that a touchdown parlay for what it's worth. Let's get some more questions here. That was a great question by Pop. Love you, man. You got any more, Pop? Send them my way. I know we had more. I apologize. Okay, so we had our lady Julia Gulia posted this one earlier. Are you worried Andy is going to come out with this vanilla playbook because he doesn't want to show a potential playoff opponent anything significant, or do you think Patrick has a hidden override button? All right, so this is a good question to have today. This is a good question to address today. There's always like this give and take on this theory that the Chiefs hold stuff back, and I tend to play into it. I tend to believe the Chiefs do this, but I don't think they do it against NFC teams, if that makes sense. Because, yes, there is a chance the Chiefs face the Eagles for a third time in the Super Bowl this year. There is that chance. But the chances of them facing the Eagles in the Super Bowl as opposed to facing the Ravens or the Bills or any of these other teams you want to throw out there on the AFC side of things and the AFC side of the playoffs to get to the Super Bowl is much higher, which is why I expect the Chiefs to do that when they play the Bills as opposed to the Eagles or the Commanders, the Lions, or any of these other teams they face on the NFC side that they could potentially face in the Super Bowl. I don't think they do that because I've seen the way the Chiefs play NFC teams, and it is much different, and especially against contenders, NFC contenders. I saw the way that, we've seen it multiple times against the Niners in the regular season. They go out there and they explode on that defense. They go out there and they put it to them on the offensive side. Whereas when they play the Bills, they play the Ravens, you see a little bit more of a reserved style of offense. They're not showing everything. Even the way Spags dials up blitzes, you don't see it. It's almost like a completely different playbook that he brings to the regular season game to the postseason because they have a very strong confidence. They're going to at least face one of those teams on an annual basis, the Ravens or Bills, in the playoffs. So they have to handle that a little bit differently. So I don't expect Andy to come out with a vanilla style of offense. Having said that, I do think they're going to play more of a methodical style of offense, not vanilla. I think they're going to have their shot put plays. I think you're going to see Patrick dialing up play actions where he's going to throw the ball downfield. That does exist in this offense, even with a more of a methodical style or approach that I do expect them to have, just based on the fact that they just don't have the dogs to open up their playbook like they'd like to. I think if Xavier Worthy was playing in this game, you would see a 2022 style of offense in this game, which is why I'm very excited when the time comes that Xavier Worthy and Rasheed are back in this offense, because I think that's what's going to happen. Let's get to our next question here from my guy Noah John Marshall. This is a long-form thought. How much of Andy Reid's recent shine and Hall of Fame cred is due to Mahomes? Additionally, when do we say enough is enough as far as run-pass balance with Andy? So I feel like I've kind of addressed the run-pass balance. I think it needs to be a part of it, without question. I know Andy is not, or he's notorious for kind of avoiding the run game. He likes to throw the ball, and I understand that in today's NFL, but see, we have to understand that even with the evolution of the pass game being so more prevalent in today's NFL, with that comes the evolution of defense too. And defenses are starting to adjust to that. That's why you saw, 2018 to 2022, the Mahomes style of offense was one thing. Then the defenses started to adjust. They started playing more cover 2, cover 3 style of shell defenses. And then Patrick had to learn how to check the ball down. Now, coincidentally, he lost his left tackle, didn't get one until this year, and he had a lot of injuries to the offense. He had some really bad receivers, Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore. They had to overcome MVS as well. So with the evolution also came circumstances that Patrick had to overcome. But I think that there's an evolution on how teams have to play offense in today's NFL, because defenses have also evolved and have learned to counteract some of these deeper, pass attacks that the NFL likes to have. I think that you're seeing more defenses learn how to adjust to that. But when it comes to the shine of Andy Reid, look, I have always, even way back into his Eagles days, I have been such a fan of Andy Reid. I love his approach, his demeanor, the fact that every single player that has ever played for him absolutely adores him. That says something about the man more than just the coach. But it does say something about the coach. It does say something about how, and if you guys watched the ESPN documentary on the Chiefs last year, episode 2 was by far my favorite episode. It goes all the way into what Andy Reid is as a person, what he's overcome in his life. It talks about his beautiful wife, man, how awesome she is, and the support that he gets from her, and just the man that he is. And the thing that stood out to me the most about Andy Reid in that is when he said that as a coach, you have to find a way to meet the players where they're at. That is such a key component on being a great coach at any level of any sport. And I feel that so many have missed that mark. And that is something Andy does so well. It almost seems like second nature to him. Like he just knows how to do it in his sleep, where he's able to just relate to everybody and get everybody on the same page and get people to match his energy and matches their energy. And just no matter how old the man is now, I think he's going to be 67 this year. Or he might already be 67. He finds a way to relate to men that are 30, 40 years younger than him. You know what I mean? Like guys that are even young, almost 50 years younger than him. He finds a way to relate. He finds a way to get their respect and to them to pay attention to him in a world where our attention spans are next to shit. He finds a way. And that says something about him. That's his shine. That's where he deserves to be the Hall of Fame head coach he is. Having said that, this is a results-oriented business. And as great as a head coach as Andy Reid has been throughout his career, he never had a Super Bowl victory until he got Patrick Mahomes. His win percentage for his career has gone up over 7% since Patrick Mahomes has been here. You know how hard that is to do when you've already been a head coach for 20 years? And yeah, he went to a lot of NFC championships back with the Eagles, but he did get fired because of a 4-12 season. And then came to Kansas City, and for 5 years, got the Chiefs right back to prominence. You know, they're winning 10, 12 games a year. Only missed the playoffs once, but even that year they had a winning record. But they had one playoff win, a singular playoff win, and it's because they faced Brian Hoyer and the Texans, who were just not a good team. But the Chiefs had one playoff win before Patrick Mahomes. They now have 17 playoff wins. They've been to the AFC Championship every single year and have won 5 of those AFC Championships, been to 5 Super Bowls, and have won 3 of them. Andy Reid deserves a lot of credit, but Patrick Mahomes is the one that took Andy Reid from being a Hall of Fame coach to potentially the greatest coach who's ever lived. That's the difference. That's where Patrick Mahomes comes into this. So, yeah, I definitely think a lot of it's due to Mahomes. And I think that Andy Reid would admit as much because the results are there. It'd been one thing if Andy Reid had won a Super Bowl before Patrick Mahomes, then you can't really say that. But the fact that Andy Reid went from a Hall of Fame coach to arguably the greatest coach we've ever seen, what changed in 2018? One player. That was Patrick Mahomes. Let's get to more of your guys' comments here. I'm sure you guys have more questions for me, so I apologize if I haven't gotten to them as fast and as thorough as I'd like to. This is from our guy Clay Windler again. Thoughts on Chiefs PA announcer rage quitting? Yes, that's the perfect way of putting this because the guy went on an absolute diatribe on his Facebook page. I was thinking about putting this on the show, but I was kind of hoping that this would be brought up and speak it so we could talk about it here. So in case you guys didn't know, longtime Chiefs PA announcer put in his resignation. And it's very weird timing because it was after week 1 and it's right before their home opener. He didn't go into detail as to what had happened or why it's happening. He just said that he was uncomfortable with some of the things the Chiefs have been wanting him to do. Now, I know automatically everybody just assumes it's a political affair. I'm not so much there. I think it's more of a job thing. I think it's that they wanted him to maybe do things a little differently or change things up or maybe, include more this or that. And he just probably said, you know what? I have like 3 other jobs. I'm probably closer to retirement than I'm closer to the beginning of my life with this career. Let's just go ahead and hang this up and let's be diplomatic about it. I was shocked by this. I definitely was. I think the guy's been really good at his job. It's going to be very weird to hear somebody else's voice on the PA announcer speakers. But we also saw the Chiefs lose their original Casey Wolf. So maybe it's just that time where things start to transition, guys. And maybe this will be good for some people because change is what's coming this way anyway, guys. I mean, the Chiefs are going to be moving out of Arrowhead in the next few years, so I hope you guys are ready for that as well. Maybe these are the types of changes that need to happen to get some of these fans ready for drastic changes that are about to come down the pike. All right, so guy John Harrison, according to Eagles report, Goddard is out. Shipley, backup running back to Barkley, is out as well. Yeah, I think Shipley, if I'm not mistaken, had a broken leg or something like that. They're saying he might miss up to like 12 weeks. I saw that. So, yeah, that's why they went and got Bigsby from the Jaguars. I know Bigsby's going to probably be more on the special team side of things, but, yeah, that was the biggest reason why they made that decision as well. But I did not know for certain if Goddard was out until now, so thanks to John for that one. Let's get to some more of you guys here. Terrell Owens, the similar guy, our lady Julia Gulia. Terrell Owens loves Andy Reid, and T.O. don't like anybody. Exactly. That's what I was trying to say. Like, I can't think of a single player that has come out and said, like, Andy Reid is an asshole or Andy Reid sucks, or you don't even have, like, a negative thing. Like, he is whatever. Like, you don't even hear that. And if you did, if it were, I hate to say it, but at this point, with the benefit of the doubt that I would give Andy Reid with his reputation, I'd have to question the character of the player at this point. But yeah, that's the point, is that Terrell Owens, who was an absolute bad apple in a lot of regards, has nothing but beautiful things to say about Andy Reid. And it ended terribly for T.O. in Philadelphia. Noah John Marshall, speak it. In hindsight, should Kansas City have gone running back higher in the draft instead of Bassa, or at least a free agent? I just can't get over how we didn't improve the running back room. Noah John, NGM, can I call you that? Brother, this is what I have been saying. And I like Bassa. I think the kid's going to be a human missile in this defense. I really like him. And if he plays really well, maybe that gives the Chiefs incentive to, not pay Leo Chanel, or, it makes peace with him not having Drew Tranquil after this season. I don't know. I like the kid, but I would have loved to see the Chiefs go running back earlier in this draft. There was a lot of guys that I was bigger on than Brashad Smith. And I liked Brashad. I liked him out of college. I watched a lot of his film, and he looks like he's got the skills to pay the bills. But, yeah, there were guys out there that I think the Chiefs really did pass on that I think they may regret passing on, because it looks like the Chiefs are going to be in dire need of a playmaker out of the backfield. Maybe we'll be wrong, though. Maybe Brashad Smith will be that guy, and we're looking at this going, the Chiefs don't really have any worries, and Isaiah, Veach stuck the landing again on a 7th-round running back. Maybe that will be the case. Maybe it will, or maybe it won't. And that's the guy, I'm keeping my mind open on that. And when it comes to free agents, I mean, they kind of did do that, though. They went and got Elijah Mitchell, and they re-signed Kareem Hunt. So they did go the free agent route technically. They weren't very impressive moves because we knew Kareem was going to be coming back if he was to continue playing football. And Elijah Mitchell's just an injury-prone player. And I was kind of shocked, to be honest, he made the team. So, yeah, I definitely think that this needs to be something moving forward the Chiefs have to take more seriously, and they need to stick the landing again. They need to find that guy that can be a dual threat back, a difference maker, an impact player out of the backfield, because you're seeing in the league how much of a difference that does make when you have that guy. So, let's look here. Somebody had to add to the tailgater. LOL, dude did rage quit. I wonder what exactly wanted him to change. I don't know, man. I don't want to theorize too quickly on it, because it could be a lot of things. It could be political. It could be something like that. I don't think it is personally, but like I said, I think it's definitely something bad enough to where he felt like he needed to leave. The timing is the biggest issue. If it had been after the season, he said that, I'm like, well, this stuff happens. It happens, and he was here a long time. Maybe he just wanted to, take a break. And he did say that to start it off, that, a weight had been lifted off his shoulders. So maybe that was the majority of it. He was looking for a reason to get out. He was looking for an opportunity, and he said, you know what, this stuff, because we all know what that's like in jobs when we're, not enjoying our time there anymore. And we start like looking for a reason, and then something happens. You're like, you know what, that's it. That was the final straw. And in totality, you look at that issue and think, well, that shouldn't be a reason to quit. Well, it's not just that reason. That reason is what pushed me to quit. It was the last thing I needed to see for me to feel justified in myself for leaving this job. Julia Gulia, she asks, Your opinion on Gelati after one game. I actually really liked what I saw from Ashton Gelati. I think the kid's got real potential. I told you guys he is my favorite player out of this Chiefs draft. I think they made some really good picks. I think Josh Simmons, if he becomes anything, this is maybe Brett Veach's best draft class, and that's including 2022, as crazy as that sounds. I think Gelati's going to become a real edge rusher for this defense. He's got that it factor about him. I think Noah Williams is going to be a hell of a player as well. I think he could be that guy that the Chiefs move forward with as their cornerback for the next 3 or 4 years. I am a little concerned about the way Spags uses some of his players. Like we saw 𝙭, the guy the Chiefs brought in middle of last year to be an edge rusher. They literally never used him. And then last week was, I believe, the top graded edge rusher outside, I think, of like Myles Garrett. So, yeah, I'm a little concerned. Hopefully, Gelati gets more opportunities in this defense. I think he needs them. And like I said earlier in the show, and I'll say it again, as much as I like Charles Omenihu, if the only time he's touching the other quarterback is when he's asking us for a jersey swap at the end of the game, Gelati needs to get out there and get more opportunities. We've seen this Chiefs team give young players opportunities if they've earned it. Gelati had only a few snaps in this game, limited opportunities, and I thought he played pretty damn well. And given the fact that we've seen guys like FAU become complete whiffs, the Chiefs are going to need as many opportunities from their young players as possible in this season. Also, to keep guys like Charles Omenihu healthy, who can't keep him healthy because we know he's also had his own issues with injuries. Let's see here. You guys have any other questions, man? Hit me up on this, because I am ready to talk more and more with you guys if we want to. Our guy John Harrison, I don't believe this is a question, but he goes, everyone, I've got to get out of here. Have a great afternoon. God bless, and go Chiefs. John, we always appreciate your contributions to the show, brother. There are staples of what we do here, and you're definitely one of them, bro. And I appreciate all the DMs you send me in support of what we do. You're like I said, you're a good man, and whatever you're doing today, be safe, be happy, be healthy out there, brother. Let's our Julie Gooley back at it. We used to just pouch quarterbacks from San Francisco, poach, I believe. Yeah, poach. Now we're doing it with running backs. It's got to be scouting problem. You know what? That might be an issue, Julia, because we know that every scouting department has their downfalls. We know that Brett Veach has been so good at scouting defensive backs. He did scout Chris Jones, I might add. I kind of scouted Patrick Mahomes on accident, but it still worked out. Maybe he has an issue with some skill positions, because also wide receiver, and if Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice do end up becoming the successes that we're expecting them to be, that will change that narrative. But he did trade for Kadarius Toney. He did draft Sky Moore. He's had some pretty serious whiffs at wide receiver, and as good of a player as Pacheco has become, I think it has more to do with the fact that he was a 7th-round pick and the expectations were so low that anything he did in this league was going to be a bonus. So for him to become a starting running back for a 2-time defending champion team, that is saying something about what Veach found in Pacheco. So yeah, I think it could be a scouting problem or just a problem altogether. Tailgater said Gelati is a stud. He'll have a hell of a game tomorrow. I hope so, because if he has a hell of a game, that means the Chiefs are going to have a hell of a game. We have our guy Demetrio Spence. I wish Spags would let Leo play some edge. I think he could do it. Yeah, that's the thing, is we actually saw in the Chargers game, Leo was playing a little edge. I think that was mostly out of desperation because they needed to find anybody that could get to the quarterback, because it was very rare. And whenever the Chiefs finally had somebody get a pressure on Justin Herbert, the Chargers held, and the refs decided to swallow the flag. Chiefs get all the calls. Tailgater. There's a question right here. What are your expectations for the Chiefs' offense tomorrow? Well, I kind of alluded to it in my preview and prediction. I think the Chiefs are going to be methodical, but I think they're going to be efficient. I think they're going to get their 3rd down conversions, and I think the Chiefs are going to score points, because I don't think this Eagles defense is all that scary. I don't think they're the same defense they were last season. I think they're a very beatable defense, because we saw the blueprint from the Cowboys just a week ago. Several opportunities were missed by the Cowboys to put up 30-plus points and win that game outright, and they simply dropped the ball, literally and figuratively. I don't think the Chiefs are going to do that this week. I think the Chiefs are going to get the job done, and I think they're going to go out there and put out a performance that gets them a victory. It will be a close victory, because they're respectable teams. Obviously, the Eagles are not a bad team by any means. They will be a playoff team this year. They have a really good chance of winning their division. but I think the Chiefs are going to be the better team this week and get the W and get in the win column and then move forward and get healthier. Our guy, 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙴, first time tuning in. I have given you a lot of shit in the past, but I appreciate your fandom and what you do, Lance. Keep it up. Go Chiefs. I appreciate that, 𝚂𝙿, man. I appreciate you tuning in, and I appreciate the support. Whether you agree or disagree with me, you know that I'm going to keep it 100 and keep things going in the direction of truth and honesty and authenticity, because that's what you guys deserve, man. So, yeah, I appreciate you tuning in, and I appreciate you sticking around. Julia got to go. Great show, Lance. Go Chiefs. Appreciate you, Julia. I know that this show's already gone about an hour and a half, and I appreciate you guys tuning in today, man. I know not having Trevor on the show kind of sucks. Well, it sucks a lot, but hopefully you guys are having fun regardless, and you guys are getting what you want out of this show, and that you guys know that we're going to be as interactive as possible every single week. But right now, that looks like that is the end of Speak It. I appreciate you guys, man, for chiming in and getting your questions in. This is always fun, no matter if it's just me or with Trevor or we have guests, whatever it is. You guys know that we try to keep it as fun as possible here. But right now, guys, unless I'm mistaken, we have one more order of business to get to, and that is called Hold This L. Each and every episode, we finish off every single episode with a series of L's in the world of sports. Whether those L's are friendly L's or not so friendly L's in the world of sports, we promise you, who's ever holding those L's in the world of sports deserve those L's in the world of sports. Mine is simple. The Chiefs had this narrative over the last several years now, because they just keep winning, that they get all the calls, the NFL favors them, and you know, they do whatever they can to get the Swifties involved, and you know, because that was the NFL that did that. It wasn't, you know, two people met organically and decided to get together, and it happened to be they're both famous people. But no, it was the NFL that did that, and so now the NFL is trying to push that narrative and fix games for the Chiefs. Even though every single time somebody says that to me, I ask them to show me where the NFL has fixed games, and no one can respond with anything that, you know, actually involves using brain cells, because it's the stupidest shit in the world. But now it's funny because the Chiefs lose a game, and it's about time the NFL did save the Chiefs. And now we're seeing Jalen Carter literally assaulting people, have an opportunity to get suspended for assaulting Dak Prescott. And yes, spitting on someone is assault. If you did that on the street and a cop saw you do that, they'd literally arrest you for it. That sounds like assault to me. But we have guys like Tart for the Chargers who will literally assault Travis Kelce by punching him in the face, but because he kept his hand like this, not like this, somehow it's okay. Doesn't get ejected for that game. But now the NFL decides to give us this cute little statement about the Jalen Carter situation. If you can't read that, let me read it for you. This is on September 9th of 2025. From the NFL, Jalen Carter of the Philadelphia Eagles has been suspended without pay for one game of his act of unsportsmanlike conduct in the last Thursday night's game against the Dallas Cowboys. Because Carter was disqualified for participating in a single play, the suspension is considered to have been served in Week 1, and he will forfeit his game check. The NFL Players Association has informed the NFL that Carter will not contest the discipline and has waived his right to appeal. He is eligible to participate in the club's Week 2 game against the Kansas City Chiefs. League rules prohibiting unsportsmanlike conduct are of vital importance to everyone involved in the game. The NFL has been cleared with players, clubs, and NFLPA that it plans to place particular emphasis on sportsmanship this season. Okay. So the NFL is trying to tell you and I that because a guy who suited up and was on the football field is not getting suspended for the next game because Dak Prescott didn't say hike before Jalen Carter spit on him. That's what the NFL is trying to tell you and I. They think we're stupid enough to think that is a justifiable suspension. That being ejected serves as a suspension. Okay. So now what I need from the NFL, this is what I need from the NFL. Roger Goodell, if you're watching this, you're probably not, but if you catch this, maybe hit us up in the chat here. What I need from the NFL now is to explain to me What part of a game in which a guy gets ejected is it no longer grounds to uphold a suspension for the next week? Or I'm sorry, to justify not getting suspended for the next week. Please explain to me what portion of the game and being ejected is no longer valid to say, okay, well, he served enough of that last game. Now he doesn't get suspended for the next game. Because last time I checked, an ejection is not the same thing as a suspension. Jalen Carter was active for that game. Jalen Carter was in that game. But because he decided to assault Dak Prescott before Dak Prescott snapped the ball, now it's being viewed as something completely different than what it actually is. You know what this is, guys? This is the NFL's equivalence of the tuck rule 20-some years later. When Tom Brady pump faked, brought the ball back, and Charles Woodson knocked that ball out of his hands, and the NFL decided to, on the fly, finagle their own rules and say, well, it was the tuck rule. We haven't seen that rule since then or before then. Unless you guys can find it, I haven't. It's just very convenient to me how the NFL decided to fuck with their rules this week. But meanwhile, Rashee Rice, who got hurt last season, and I know you guys hate the equivalences here, but I'm going to say it anyway. Rashee Rice, who got hurt last season, the NFL waits until he's healthy and ready to go to then give him an unprecedented 6-game suspension. And I'm not even focusing on the fact that the NFL didn't decide to suspend him last season. It's the fact that they gave him an unprecedented 6-game suspension. What do I mean by that? There was nothing before the Rashee Rice suspension that showed in a different scenario or a different instance that might be similar or not, that this gives this guy 6 games for this reason. In fact, again, we had Jordan Addison, a repeat offender with vehicular issues and almost killing people and almost killing himself and having DUIs, get 3 games the same time that Rashee Rice got twice as many games. I'm not sitting here justifying what Rashee Rice did. I'm sitting here saying the NFL is deciding on the fly, let's just make shit up, and then it'll justify it in the eyes of the people, because we'd rather offend one fan base than 31 others, because you know as well as I do that if Rashee Rice would have only gotten 3 games, everyone's calling the fix. And the NFL is going to have to deal with all 31 other fan bases. We all know if Jalen Carter got suspended for week 2 against the Chiefs, we all know what's going on out there. Oh, NFL's fixing games. Told you. This is how it goes. It's just on brand. Roger Goodell might as well throw on a Patrick Mahomes jersey, and then the gifs of Patrick and the ref kissing is going to be all over the internet. The NFL has decided, guys, we're going to piss off the Chiefs fan base. They're going to deal with it, and we're going to make sure we save face with the other 31 fan bases. For that, they're absolutely pathetic. And for that, Roger Goodell and the NFL gets to be a solid and hold this L. Appreciate it. I feel like I got a lot off my chest today, and I hope that you guys got the opportunity to do the same. This is over an hour and a half of fun-filled discussion, debates, and just overall conversation about the Chiefs and what we expect to see them do this week and moving forward. Good news on Xavier Worthy. I think there's going to be some good news on the defensive side as well, because I think they're going to get their shit together, and I think that next week when we're here again for episode 328, I think we're going to have a much more positive outlook and conversation on what this team actually is, not what everyone continues to try to tell us they are. They're going to put their stamp back on things in the NFL and let people know the dynasty has gone nowhere. So for Clay Windler and the back end of things at Red Tribe Cinema, for Trevor, who's out and about doing his thing, and he will be back next week, I am Lance Twidwell of the Spoken Podcast, episode 327. Man, we are so far into the 300s. It's so awesome. This show is done, finished, and finito. And until we are back here in 1 week's time, and if you guys have not already done it, go ahead and get on our YouTube, get on there, guys, and subscribe to our show, and get in the comments. We want to hear from you as much as possible. We make sure that is the point we hammer on every single week, and we appreciate you guys every single week, because you guys are what makes the show so awesome. But until we are here for 1 week's time, for episode 327 of the Spoken Podcast, I am Lance Twidwell, and we are out of